YouTube comments from a video titled, Gen Alpha Can't Read and Teachers Are Fed Up. Part 23.
At Mackenzie-Ekeda 9920 wrote,
I just think there needs to be more studies. I've noticed the usual Gen Alpha, they seem to have more issues as a population, issues like having more autism, having more speech delays, not being easily potty trainable, etc. Something is not right, and we need an investigation of studies to be done. Gen A, not like the other previous generations, the amount of issues they're being born with when it comes to being delayed in a lot of areas.
At Wothatsalotoftimage 3718 wrote,
Here's the fundamental problem. You have a reverse feedback loop where the general better students are getting pulled out to go to non-public education, which makes public schools worse per student, foments a more negative attitude towards education in the classroom, and makes the public perception of public education more negative. Unfortunately, you would need some radical reforms to curb that, and then a totally different policies after you've stopped the drain to get the public trust back.
At Francesca Giorgini G2Z wrote,
If the teacher were male, there is no way these parents would expect them to potty train. It shows that they are expecting teachers to actually mother their children. No?
At JCJMC 21 wrote,
I'm in Massachusetts. When I was in kindergarten, we had nap time and half days. In first grade, I read Tom Can Run by week 4. My daughter in second grade read books I read in fourth and fifth. My daughter, who just started first grade, read and questioned why someone wrote that Taylor Swift's superpower is that of manipulation. If kids can't read today, what the F were we doing?
At Jessica Locklear 762 wrote,
As a millennial parent, I'm not sure if I see these issues at my school. We could easily be the exception, which would be so sad. My 5th grader gets awards for AR every quarter, but I also am a book reader, and we love the local bookshops. I waited my entire adult single life to get a kiddo to read all my favorite books to. Hubby is the same. Kiddo was getting nightly chapters of The Hobbit at 4 years old. XD reading is beautiful. 3.
At Jinx 724 wrote,
As many others have said, bring back holding kids back a grade or two. There's no reason to even have school if they aren't learning. I do also think that kids don't read anymore because there aren't a lot of books for children that are popular anymore. Millennials and Gen Z grew up with the Harry Potter craze, Twilight, Shatter Me series, Gone, Choose Your Own Adventure books, etc., etc., etc. Now, the popular books are smut and spice, and kids are obviously told no, you can't read that. But no one gives them alternatives. I specifically kept all my Shile books from childhood so I can give them to my kids. Another issue is parents don't read. I picked up reading because my mum was always reading. She had a book in her purse. I had a book on me. She read on the bus and train. I read on the bus and train. We went to Barnes and Nobles at least twice a month, if not more. I always had a book out in the library. But parents don't do that anymore.
At Jennifer Marco wrote,
A lot of these kids today are not doing well in college, either because they cannot keep up with the reading you need to do. But when I go into someone's home, the first thing I notice is they have any bookshelf full of interesting books. Even how you speak says a lot about you. Some of these kids you cannot understand. Also get rid of calling people bro. I am not your bro.
At Klotz Homestead 8492 wrote,
I read to my kids at a young age. My youngest is a Gen Alpha. We use screen time for educational game shows only. She went into kindergarten reading, doing math. Now that she is 13, she's skipped grades and is going to graduate before 16. My other 3 all graduated with a 4.0, and my oldest just finished with college. It doesn't take that much work, but the work that you put in has to be thoughtful. Instead of Cocomelon crap, try something like a Starfall or Absea Mouse game, or a learning cartoon like Magic School Bus. They will never know the difference between others' brainrot and learning. They'll just think they are having fun. I would get fun books that included lots of jokes for kids. It doesn't have to be boring. But we are seriously failing our kids.
Tyler Humphreys wrote,
Parents are not parenting anymore. Teachers have a job to do, but if more than half of the class is behind, the teacher can't do their job and ALL, the students will get subpar education.
At Spacemismum 765 wrote,
I worked as a STEM educator, middle school, mostly 8th graders. I was told I was not being an effective teacher because I cannot teach what I teach because they do not have a nuance of how read, write, critically think, added to the lack of manners, empathy, basic life skills, and the mental health crisis that is going on. I should not be teaching these things, but building on those skills and expectations. This is within the 12 to 13-year age group. Here is what NOONE is talking about. A girl's menstrual cycle. These girls are out here with nothing and no one helping them. I had to keep an entire closet of personal hygiene products for these kids. A closet. I am done.
At Amberynthemist 7912 wrote,
The main reason this is happening is that both parents are working constantly just to keep a roof over their heads. At the same time, schools cut all help. And teachers just complain about parents not working hard enough. The moral of the story is just don't have kids in this capitalist hellscape if you don't want to be judged by a bunch of non-parents.
At Jennifer Marco wrote,
I think if children break things, the parent must pay for the damage. My feeling, if your kid does not want to learn, put them in the gym and let the other kids who want to learn and teach them. Then when these people turn 18, they can do nothing because they cannot even read to take a driver test. The reason why this is happening is because the parent are lazy and would rather just hand a 1 year their phone instead something more age-appropriate distraction. My mom was always telling me and my brother to turn off the TV and go play outside or do something else. We only had one TV in the home, and it was in the living room.
Samora U7G wrote,
I remember the moment I knew I couldn't be a teacher. I was a student teacher helping with summer school at a 4th and 5th grade campus. I got assigned to specifically help one student in particular because he was moving a bit slow through the reading portion and couldn't move on to the question/answer portion of the practice exam. Come to find out that this child should have been in middle school and couldn't read the 3 paragraphs. I pulled the main teacher aside to let her know, and she said to just try my best because no matter what happens on the exam, the district was going to bump him up to middle school regardless, because he was too old to stay in 5th grade.
At Vanlu QH2YG wrote,
Meanwhile, in China, they're having students studying for 12 HRS shift or longer, with many experiencing depression and suicidal thoughts. Same thing in Korea as well. That's quite the opposite of what's happening in our country. Just as bad, I might add.
At Booksavi wrote,
I thought about how difficult it must be for teachers to try to help teach a classroom full of children who all have varying degrees of learning. I have 3 little ones who are homeschooled, one of which is autistic. Some days are harder than others to get them all to simply focus and pay attention to their work, even when doing fun tasks to encourage engagement. I can't imagine how challenging it must be to then also have to work with 20+ parents who also don't want to help their own kids learn. God bless the teachers who actually do care, because it can be difficult. I know this from experience, and these are my babies, and I care more than any teacher ever could about my own.
At First Name Last Name, WT5 to wrote,
Unfortunately, education majors are usually people who can't do anything else. Not all. But most. We aren't recruiting the best and brightest for the position. And so they are unable to adapt to the kids and lean into their culture. Instead, they try to fight them and force them to conform to what was an outdated structure, uneven when I was in school. Reality is, public school was designed to train, not educate. The populace wasn't prepared to work in factories, so public schools provided the training. Basic skills, but mostly behavioral training: sit still, follow authority, please authority, ask permission for basic bodily functions. If you know anything about this period in history, you're seeing a disturbing connection between what was trained in schools and the working conditions of the factories. Well, that public system never changed. It's still trying to train factory workers. This was all fine until the internet. People don't want to be slaves anymore. Teachers shouldn't want to be doing this job. This isn't really about education.
Casey Dilla wrote,
I remember in kindergarten, my biggest bathroom OP was just trying to get my overalls unhooked or remembering to see if the toilet seat was down because the janitors would leave them UP after cleaning, and several of us would fall in the toilet a few times a week also. I'm 29 with no kids. More than old enough to have a child in early elementary education, and I can't imagine NOT potty training my child. What is wrong with these parents in my age range?
At Captain America 4992 wrote,
Man, I wish I could be of grade school age in this current era of education. I'd be an absolute tyrant. The amount of stuff I could get away with today is insane. I'd have teachers quitting left and right.
A Smiley Fried wrote,
If a child needs to wear diapers because of a legit disability, that's one thing and perfectly understandable. If the child is perfectly able-bodied with no actual disability and isn't potty trained by age 5, that is just pure parental neglect/abuse and should be reported as such.
A Dub Middle J wrote,
The system is working as intended. It's all about wealth transfer. The elites saw the nuclear family making too much wealth, and also the nuclear family voting on laws affecting the elite's profits as a threat. So now they're going to make everyone poor, so the parents keep being too exhausted to teach their children. All while the exhausted parents sit their children in front of iPads and smartphones, keeping the kids quiet, but indoctrinating them in propaganda.
A Sikh Gooding God wrote,
Reading is connected to empathy. When you read books, you have to see both sides of the character and the antagonist in the book. If you do not read or never read much as a child, it's high chances you are not a very empathetic person. This is evident all around me at my high school. I'm in 10th grade. All around me is people who are so cripplingly not empathetic.
A Khalid 90 wrote,
It's insane to me that there are so many children who are not potty trained by 5. I understand there are certain exceptions, but we started potty training as soon as she turned 2. While in the beginning, it is harder, but over the long run, it makes life so much easier. It is just pure parental laziness and not having messed up priorities. We read every night, and anytime my daughter brings me a book to read, other than certain exceptions, such as in the middle of cooking, I will stop what I'm doing to read it to her. I want her to love reading, and I want her to see how important it is.
A Farley Burge wrote,
Oh, sure. Let's all keep pretending politicians aren't professional liars. Every last one of them, left, right, center, Mars Colony, they're all running the same scam with a different logo. And Hassan Piker? The guy who once said America deserved 9/11? That's your news anchor now? Perfect. Nothing says trustworthy analysis like a man whose resume reads opinions, provocations, and clickbait.
A Jennifer's 1040 wrote,
My 6-year-old son is homeschooled and has been reading since he was 2. And I'm not saying that he's extra smart or anything. He just had parental involvement. And I think more kids would be able to do it too if their parents were able to give them that time.
And Nixim, our 8T, wrote,
Let's be frank. This education decline started in the 1960s, 1970s with new, unproven, and broken pedagogies like new math and whole word reading. Reading and math scores declined year after year. It's been a race to the bottom. And here we are today, near the bottom. We know what to fix and even how to fix it, but it will never be fixed. To have a functioning society in today's high technology world, you need at a minimum a workforce that can read, write, and do math. When you can't even meet the minimum standards, there is little hope for the U.S.
At Attitude Problem 6462 wrote,
WTH is wrong W/people that they respond to the simplest request to do something to help their own children W/effing death threats. I swear, it's always the tiniest little inconvenience or thing they don't like and they're throwing out death threats. The adults are ignorant as hell. No wonder they can't teach their kids.
To Craft the Sile 9113 wrote,
When will Americans realize that their own government is at war with them? You can't protest online. You need to show up in the streets because at this rate you will own nothing and be happy turning you into a miserable Russia.
At Sabrina Estrada 3590 wrote,
So much accountability for teachers and very little for parents. Teachers have to be trained. Parents just have to be able to reproduce. It's at the detriment of children if you have them and don't know anything about how to raise them. They need less screen time, a proper schedule that provides adequate rest at night, fresh air and physical exercise, healthy food, and supportive parents who honor reasonable consequences for their actions. Society will only improve if we all understand and implement this.
At Marie Catherine 5238 wrote,
It's obvious why they can't read, can't write, concentrate, do anything practical, and their behavior is atrocious. Forget the academics. The teaching needs to start with what should have been taught in infancy and toddlerhood.
At Catworld 8119 wrote,
Most kids who go to kindergarten are 5 years old. There are PRE kindergarten classes for 3 and 4-year-olds, but regular kindergarten is for kids at least 5 by the beginning of the school year. A child who ISNOT potty trained by 5 years old and does not have physical or mental disabilities is being neglected. That's parental neglect. They're holding the child back socially and now educationally by not teaching the child basic skills. Ridiculous. As to why kids can't read, the system is now designed to get federal money any way they can. Accept as many kids who need special education and put them in regular classrooms. Expect the elementary teacher to handle 22 regular ed 6-year-olds and simultaneously teach the 3 to 5 special needs kids, with each having their own special plan. Then throw in parents who don't care whether the child behaves, learns, as long as they get free food and free babysitting 8 to 10 hours each day. Now you have kids who know nothing.
At Razerv 3LC wrote,
Is this a surprise? Our current political climate is hostile towards education and intelligence. They see both of those things as something to attack, rather than to strive towards.
At 6V5147 wrote,
I, for one, am looking forward to the collapse of the Amok and Thwaites Glacier. May it cause the Homo sapiens species to be functionally extinct. Enjoy what you can, while you still can. Pity the generations to come.
At UD201 wrote,
You got my like and subscribe. As a kindergarten teacher, it's always disheartening to see how disengaged some parents are nowadays. especially when it comes to spending a tiny fraction of their day helping their child learn one of the most valuable skills they possibly could.
At Ashley W. YH6 Soy wrote,
I'm so proud and didn't know that gift I was giving my daughter when I taught her to read during COVID. She has been a bookworm ever since, and I'm so proud of her. She was reading at a 9th grade level in 4th grade. I was a proud mom when I found that out.
G19 wrote,
Millennial mom of 2 here. When my daughter was in kindergarten, her teacher told me during conference week, todos cúmpases sin traía comidas y machas de quien comía porque más comidas in a class, y que sí figura que la podéis hacer. Meanwhile, only 1 in 4 kids can read on grade level in our state by 4th grade. I'm like Lady, I'm an avid reader and always have been, as I was reading at a college level, in 8th grade. Needless to say, by the end of the year she was where she needed to be at the end of 1st grade, not kindergarten. Parents, do your part, work with your child at home. Yes, it's hard, but it's required for their success.
At Christine Campbell 7301 wrote,
I had students who read on 2nd through 4th grade reading levels in my 10th grade class. I was forced by administrators to pass kids who failed. I left there more than once in an ambulance, the last time when a student pushed me down a flight of stairs, permanently disabling me. Massachusetts.
A Truth Freeze wrote,
This why I homeschool my kid. People were like, what about socialization? I said you want me to send my kid who knows how to read, write, and do math to a school where majority of the kids don't know how to read, write, or do math?
At Edge Winberg wrote,
Gen X parent here, and I have to say, Gen Alpha not being able to read and write is due to things like video game obsession. That's what my kid's issue with. All he wants to do is play video games all the time. He has autism, ADHD, and cerebral palsy. Is that an excuse? No, but I have done what I can to help him. It is really hard.
As Mustafa wrote,
One of the saddest things about a generation of illiterate children is that they will not only struggle to function in the workplace and life overall, they are missing out on the opportunity to be inspired by historical figures, learning about Elises around the world, new ideas, etc. I recall how reading sparked my curiosity about and desire to explore the world, to get out of my hometown, and feel confident to travel far away for college, to feel comfortable interacting with different types of people. If a child has no inner world, apart from what they can create from what they see on screens, I question what level of ambition, apart from wanting money, material items, or social status, can they have in life?
At God's Silliest Goose 23 wrote,
There are multiple reasons to blame the problem on. Number one, parents don't want to parent and aren't getting involved in raise and learning with their kid. They don't read with them, do homework with them, cook instead of pre-made meals and eating out constantly, discipline successfully, and follow through with it, etc. Number two, Bush's No Child Left Behind. Many school teaching systems changed, and one big change was change from phonics to just memorizing words. Kids aren't learning how to learn stuff, just memorize and regurgitate. Number three, teachers are burnt out, and with not enough teachers, there are too many kids to each get attention and the learning they need. The school system is lacking with the government in making an effective system, but we also as parents need to be involved too. Take away the screens too. No more tablets or phones at 7 years old. It has been shown in studies that it is basically like drug addictions. When you take that away, the lack of stimulation is like withdrawing from hardcore drugs. It is a big dopamine hit every day for years on end. School is boring and slow. They aren't interested automatically because we set them up for failure from 3 years old. We all need to do better.
A Samurai Chicken 2315 wrote,
I once spent 5 hours preparing a maths revision booklet for a class before an end-of-year exam. It was full of math jokes and amusing cartoons. Not one student could be bothered turning over the first page because they felt tired after a previous day's excursion. I gave up on teaching after that.
edX Fashion AI wrote,
Why should the kids try in school? They'll never own a house. They'll never get an excellent job. They'll never achieve the so-called American dream. They'll never attain these things because they are impossible for the youth to get in this new America. Why even try if the game is rigged against you?
A Feathery Bird wrote,
It's intentional social engineering. It's intentional. I wouldn't even understand not reading. I was able to read by age 3 or 4, was addicted to reading, and had the classic flashlight under the covers trick, reading the little house books. Played an instrument at age 6. This is 100% intentional neglect from the parents and society at large. It's hard to believe. If they don't start separating the gifted children from the dummy society, we'll be doomed, and within our lifetimes. It's literally an idiocracy where they are now killing the smart people just like in the movie. It's Faustian. It's Faustian. I'm looking at Poland for retirement, or Gibraltar.
A James Bond XX1LV wrote,
I have extreme difficulty talking sometimes, and like 9-10 times whether I use my phone or a paper to write what I need help with, the associate needs to find a manager to help. They just squint and look at you like a moron for assuming they're actually literate nalike. I have flat out printed out a piece of paper for the supplies I need at an AutoZone, and they just shook their head and found someone who can read. It's ridiculous, say.
A Fangirl7914 wrote,
So many of my second grade students almost sound proud when they straight up tell me I don't know how to read. Like, they struggle working through 4 or 5 letter words. When I try to help them, they basically tell me I don't want help. Go away and just let me flip through the pictures. I've had a couple kids break down with, I don't know who. While I'm actively trying to show them how to work through a word, they don't recognize 2-letter sound combos. It's bad, guys.
A Sports Quid wrote,
I 100% blame parents. Look how many parents let 2-year-olds use phones and tablets without supervision. Electronics aren't inherently bad for kids. I grew up with game consoles, but the internet is awful for these kids.
A Trisylis12 wrote,
A lot of kids don't learn phonics anymore. That's why they can't read. And that's why younger folks can't pronounce words correctly anymore either. The read-say method is absolute shit. It's sad how phonics became politicized and commercialized because phonics produces great readers.
A Gibberlams wrote,
It's funny how these high schoolers can't read, then use AI to do the work. How can they know if the AI did the work correctly if they can't read the work?
A Stranger Things wrote,
As a Gen Alpha, I got skipped up to 7th grade, and I'm homeschooled. And the reason why kids now don't know how to read or write is because the school system is failing them, and they got a phone at a very early age, which means the brain didn't develop how it should.
A Stuffing Skulltag wrote,
The current system of schools is everyone is equal and doesn't need individual learning needs met, and they are all passed on each year. That's how I don't know math.
At Angiemed8920 wrote,
I can't even. This year began with a roof fucking bang in the K classroom I work in. I can't even talk about it, so I'll just do my crying emoji. It's all you talked about, especially the low expectations from parents and bathroom stuff.
At My Lovelim00 Nligst wrote,
Honestly, this is so sad, especially the fact that students don't want to do interactive work. Some of my best memories from school is getting to do the fun class activities that actually taught me more than THE packets. I loved doing fun role-play activities in history, making models for geometry, and using the microscopes in science. I was extremely antisocial and wanted to avoid speaking out in class at all, but those activities always made me push myself and were some of the only times I truly had fun in class. I would have loved to have the teachers of today. They do such good work, and it's so disappointing that the kids of today don't recognize or appreciate it.
Adana Chavez wrote,
The thing is that both sides are right, and a lot of the issues stem from a broken societal culture. Our culture of individualism in the United States bites us in the donkey every day. In cultures with a group mindset, and in the particular case of potty training, teachers do help with potty training at every level, which makes sense because students see teachers for a longer period of time than parents and at times when they use the bathroom the most frequently. Also, while a lot of students are likely potty trained at 5, they absolutely struggle with things like proper hygiene, washing hands properly, wiping, and clothes with difficult closures, like buttons or buckles. Also, teachers often control when a student uses the bathroom. They don't have the autonomy to just go when they need to. They often have to wait until the teacher dismisses them at convenient times for the teacher or the schedule. Now, I don't expect a teacher to be able to do this in our current day society, and I'm absolutely not suggesting they help students wipe, but understand that this is completely developmentally appropriate for a child of that age. These are challenges that all children at this age face until they grow out of it with repeated practice at home. Like everything, it's also a spectrum of ability. The problem is, you have to be there and be vigilant and constantly remind them how to do things. Repetition is key for this age group. And that's the challenge for parents when the teacher is the one spending the most time with them. It used to be that kids were taught things like button, zippers, and other closures in kindergarten, and now kindergarten has shifted to being extremely academic. Things are different, and the pressures on both parents and teachers are insane. In the end, both groups are right, and both groups are exhausted, but neither group is responsible. The true responsibility lies with the structure of the entire system. The structure is continuously failing kids over and over again and expecting both parents and teachers to pick up the slack.
A Divine Bella 1 wrote,
I think that while our kids are behind, we really should be studying the downfall of parenting. I think we as a society are so stressed all the time that we have checked out. They take care of their responsibilities, food, housing, etc., but have nothing to give after that, which then leaves the children out in the cold.
At Robin Plastic 2935 wrote,
Wasn't there that woman last year that sued the education because she graduated without knowing how to read and write? There's going to be a lot more people coming out of school with that same problem. Some of them may try to sue, but some kids right out refuse to get taught while in school. To them, being dumb is the cool thing now. They'll soon learn that was not the best choice for them to make.